Just want a quick note on ecumenism and my sort of approach to HT 501 and then HT 503. Students who come from conservative backgrounds tend to worry that I'm, committing heresy. Students from progressive backgrounds tend to worry that I'm too conservative, which I think that's what it was, either President Laberton or President Mao. One of them said at some point, the liberals think that we're fundamentalists, and the fundamentalists think we're liberals, and so we know that's how we know that Fuller is right where it's supposed to be. Whatever you make of that, I'll say this: my goal in the way that I teach theology is to aim at a big tent evangelicalism. I worry very much that the divisions in Christianity have become worrisome in the way that they are preventing what would otherwise be a whole bunch of Orthodox believers from uniting in a sort of common front against what really is an ascending secular humanism and atheism in the broader culture, at least in the West. I'm grateful that the Global South and the East are completely not bothered by these trends, and so which is one of the reasons why I think it's so important to listen to minority voices or historically marginalized voices in theology, because the historically marginalized church right now seems to be the one that's clearest on not being concerned about fitting in step with the broader culture. Being that that's the case, whether or not that's the case, what I want for Christians, whether they tend towards theological liberalism or theological conservatism, to find space for each other and not demand that they change. Maybe, of course, we can do evangelism to our wayward brothers and sisters, and I'm fine with that. But I don't want. I would like to see an end to the nitpicking over what are essentially, what I believe are not what the tradition thinks are non-essential issues. So if I have a video about denying the virgin birth, or a video about denying Jesus' sinlessness, it's not that I want to endorse either of those views. It's that I want to say, hey, you may have a brother or sister, you may have a Christian family member that buys into these and is still basically Orthodox, still in the tradition of Orthodoxy, and maybe not, but at least, but what we should be, our goal in theology should be to be as broad and as inclusive as we can, without stepping out of the tradition of Orthodoxy. And as opposed to say, oh, well, I believe I'm a cessationist, and so if you practice tongues, you're deluded and you're not a Christian. Or I believe that the only people who are saved are those who have been baptized by the Holy Spirit, so if you don't speak in tongues, you're going to hell. Those types of kind of very rigid, narrow, sort of demarcating lines really, really stray from the grand tradition, right? The grand tradition, as basically in sort of expressed in the Nicene Creed, is Trinitarian and resurrection and eschatology. Like, when we have those things, I think we're much closer together than we are far apart. And I think that the church tend to have the most visceral disagreements with those to whom we're closest, right? And I think it pains me to see that the family of God often being at each other's throats over things that, I don't know. I think maybe it was John Calvin. I can't remember who said it, but unity in the essentials, diversity in the non-essentials, or charity or tolerance in the non-essentials. Maybe it was Wesley. I can't remember. But I think that's a good way to approach theology. And so don't ever, just know that whatever you hear and whenever you see different ideas coming in and out, don't assume that I'm just trying to push a whole bunch of liberalism or conservatism on you. Rather, I'm saying, is it possible for you to have a member of the Christian family who buys into something that you find absolutely nonsense, and yet still to be able to worship with that person? And so I would ask for charity and tolerance from progressive believers and charity and tolerance from conservative believers, so that we hash things out as a family rather than in division and hate the way the world does. So that's my theory of the big tent. I want a big tent evangelicalism. I want to fit as many people within evangelicalism as we can, but never at the cost of historical orthodoxy.